Chloe. This time, it's the Youngwol green tape murder case, a story I heard from Korea. It's a record of a mystery surrounding a grandmother's death that is still unsolved after nearly 20 years, full of conflicting confessions and lies. On a peaceful afternoon in April 2005, in a quiet country village in Gangwon-do, Grandma Kim Jum-sun, an alias, was sitting on her porch. Though one side of her body was partially paralyzed from a stroke, she loved looking at the small vegetable garden she tended to herself. That day, she was on the phone with her daughter in Seoul, bragging about how good her peppers were growing this year. It was the last conversation she would ever have. The next day, a young detective, let's call him Detective Lee, an alias, arrived at her house after a neighbor reported not seeing her for a few days. The house seemed peaceful, but in the kitchen there was a mountain of blankets piled on the floor. As Detective Lee pulled the blankets away, he was horrified. Underneath, Grandma Kim was lying cold and dead. Her hands and feet were bound tightly with bright green duct tape, and more tape had been wrapped around her mouth and nose. The cause of death was suffocation. The house had been completely ransacked, but strangely, a bag full of cash was left untouched. This was no simple robbery. The only clues the killer left behind were a small footprint under the blankets and a mysterious urine stain in the shed next to the house. The footprint was likely a woman's. It was at that moment that the grandmother's eldest son and his wife in aliases arrived at the scene. But their behavior was bizarre. They showed up with an undertaker already in their car, and they showed no signs of shock or grief. Even worse, before Detective Lee could stop him, the son walked straight to the body and with his bare hands started peeling the green duct tape, the key evidence, off his own mother's face. Detective Lee felt a chill run down his spine. Something was deeply wrong here. But the son and daughter-in-law had a perfect alibi. The investigation hit a wall. Then, detectives found an unexpected suspect from the victim's last phone records. Park Kyung-ja, an alias, the mother of the victim's daughter-in-law, a relationship called sadon in Korea. Her cell phone had been used near the grandmother's house around the estimated time of the murder. After days of questioning, Park Kyung-ja eventually confessed to everything. As Detective Lee was questioning her, he heard a senior detective say something to her in the interrogation room. "Grandma, you think we don't know your daughter did it? If you don't confess now, she'll be sitting in this chair tomorrow morning. Do you want to turn your daughter into a criminal?" Hearing those words, Park Kyung-ja's eyes wavered. The next day, she confessed. "My sadon had dementia. She mistook me for a burglar and started screaming. I was just trying to cover her mouth. It was an accident." She even knew the exact location of the urine stain in the shed, a fact only the police and the killer could know. With that confession, it seemed the case was solved. But Chloe, the real mystery began in the courtroom. At the trial, Park Kyung-ja recanted everything. She said, "I didn't kill anyone. It was all a lie." Her claim was shocking. The police had pressured her, telling her that her own daughter was the prime suspect. She claimed she had falsely confessed to protect her child. Whose story was the truth? A mother who took the fall for her daughter? Or was it a cunning killer changing her story? The key to the truth was on the green duct tape that had bound the victim's body. A single strand of hair had been found on the sticky side. The DNA analysis from that hair sent a shock wave through the courtroom. The hair did not belong to Park Kyung-ja nor her daughter. It belonged to an unidentified third person. The hard evidence was screaming her innocence. In the end, the Supreme Court found Park Kyung-ja not guilty, and she was freed after 420 days in jail. So, Chloe, who was the real killer? With Park Kyung-ja acquitted, the cloud of suspicion returned to where it started, the victim's eldest son and his wife, who acted so strangely that day. What really happened in that quiet country house that night? Was it the mother who tried to protect her daughter? Or was it a devil with a completely different face, smiling from behind the mother's sacrifice? Or was it the unidentified third person whose hair was left on the tape? In the end, because the police rushed to close the case with a single confession, the real killer was given a perfect alibi. And the truth remains an unsolved mystery to this day.